You know that feeling of being exhausted in a way you just can't quite put your finger on? Well, I want you to know that makes complete sense. In this explainer, we're going to look at what's really happening inside your body and mind. Because honestly, sometimes just understanding why you feel this way is the very first step to feeling even a little bit better. It's a very specific kind of tired, isn't it? It's like a deep, deep heaviness. Or maybe for you, it's just this constant irritability, or you just can't concentrate on anything. It's the kind of tired that a good night's sleep just doesn't seem to fix. Or hey, maybe this sounds familiar. You have a genuinely good moment. You laugh at a joke, you enjoy the sunshine. And then, almost immediately, this wave of guilt just crashes over you. Like, how can I be okay when things are so bad out there? And then there's the flip side of that, right? You see something that you know you're supposed to feel sad or angry about, but there's just nothing. It's like a blank space where a feeling should be. Okay, so let's start with the single most important point of this whole thing. Whatever it is you're feeling, that exhaustion, that guilt, that numbness, it is not a sign that you are broken. It's actually a sign that your body and mind are doing exactly what they evolved to do when faced with abnormal circumstances. So let's get into the mechanics behind these feelings, the why. We're going to start with what's called survival mode. See, when we live through long periods of stress, and that can be anything from war to loss to just this constant stream of bad news, our whole nervous system shifts gears. All of its energy, all of its resources get rerouted toward one single mission, keeping you safe. This survival mode, it's like an emergency generator. It's incredibly powerful, and it does its job really well. But it burns through an enormous amount of fuel. And here's the catch. It was never, ever designed to be left on forever. And this right here, this is the invisible work your body is doing 24/7. Even if you're sitting on your couch, totally safe, your system is still constantly scanning for danger, bracing for the next bad thing, staying alert even when you're supposed to be asleep. All of this is happening under the surface, and it is a huge, huge reason why you're just so tired. But what happens when that generator just keeps running and running, and the system just gets totally overwhelmed with all this emotional input? Well, turns out our bodies have a built-in protective measure for that too. And it's not a flaw, it's a feature. That feeling of numbness we talked about, you can think of it as a mental circuit breaker. When the emotional load gets to be too much to possibly process, it trips. This is not a failure. It's your mind's brilliant way of protecting the whole system by basically saying, nope, that's enough. I've taken in as much as I can handle for now. All right, now let's talk about how this all connects to what we might call the cost of caring. That guilt we mentioned earlier. We can actually reframe it. It's really a byproduct of one of your best qualities as a human, your capacity for empathy. Seriously, that guilt you feel when you have an okay moment, it's not a flaw in your character. It's actually rooted in empathy. It comes from a place of caring so deeply about what others are going through that your own well-being can start to feel like some kind of betrayal. But it's so important to make a distinction here. So here's the crucial difference. Empathy says, I see your pain and it matters to me. That's connection. That's vital. But guilt? Guilt says, I shouldn't be okay until you are. And you see the problem, right? Punishing yourself for a moment of peace doesn't actually help anyone else. It just adds a little more suffering to the world. And I just really want to pause on this for a second because this is the core of it all. The exhaustion, the guilt, the numbness, it isn't a personal failure. You are not weak. You are not falling apart. It is simply a human system operating under an immense, prolonged load. So, what can we do? This last part isn't about solving anything, okay? It's about finding some gentle, practical ways to just reconnect with yourself, even if it's just for a moment. Now, before I share a really simple tool, I want to be crystal clear. This is not another thing to add to your to-do list. There is absolutely nothing here to fix. Think of this as just an invitation to acknowledge yourself and the enormous, invisible work you've been doing. This is a wonderfully simple technique. It's called box breathing, and it works because your breath is one of the only things in your body that's both automatic and under your conscious control. So when you breathe slowly and deliberately, you're sending a direct signal to your nervous system that you are safe. Let's just trace it. You breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold again for 4. And look, the point of an exercise like this isn't to make the difficult feelings disappear. You can be angry and breathe. You can be grieving and breathe.
The breath doesn't erase your feelings, it just brings you back into your own body. It gives you a stable place to stand while you feel whatever you need to feel.
Here's a simple, quiet thing you can say to yourself. At some point today, maybe just put a hand on your chest, feel your own heartbeat, and just say this, either out loud or to yourself. It's a small but really powerful act of just acknowledging yourself. Nothing to fix, just noticing the reality of what you're carrying.
And we'll end with this thought because it's a big one. Grief comes in waves, but you know what? So does okayness. And neither one cancels the other out. You can be heartbroken for the world and still feel warmth. You can still laugh. You can still have a good moment. And that is not a betrayal. That is how we survive.